right. With that, I think we're good. So yeah, today I've got a video. Now I haven't seen the whole thing on this one, but from what I kind of gather is basically, uh, the buddy's wife goes on a trip, work trip or whatever, and while she's out, I guess he finds her private diary, decides, hey, I'm gonna read that shit. I don't know. You tell me how you feel about that. But he decides to read the diary, and then basically after the diary, it kind of changes his whole perspective of their marriage. So yeah, we're gonna go ahead and get into it. But we got our little 30 grams of protein, so we're gonna go ahead and get swole at the same time, and let's go ahead and jump into it.
From Icy Warp from the Relationship Advice subreddit. And it says, I'm 99.99% sure my 35 male wife, 33 female, for 14 years has been cheating on me for years. I'm completely broken and at a loss for what to do. I'm sorry in advance for the length of this. I, 35 male, think that my wife, 33 female, is cheating on me and has been for many years. We've been together for 14 years, we've been married for almost 10, and we have a 5-year-old daughter together. Incident number 1. When my wife and I were in college, where we first started dating, we had an incident where she had some really sexually graphic texts from a guy we both knew from school. She even had classes with him. I confronted her about the texts. I definitely didn't handle it well and basically accused her straight out of the gate as cheating on me without realizing that there were some possible outs for her. One of those outs was that she claimed that they were just some pervy texts that she got from this guy out of the blue, and that if I had paid any attention when I was snooping through her phone, that she hadn't actually responded to them. At the time, I conceded that I may have overlooked that possibility, and I had overreacted. She apologized to me for not mentioning to me that some guy was hitting on her like that, and I apologized for overreacting and for snooping. We moved on from there.
All right, all right. So wow, I really want to say something before he got to this next incident. I guess you can read incident 1 if you're curious, or incident 2 if you're really that curious. But first things first, just off that first segment alone, nah, not there's no way some guy is just texting your girl out the blue sexually like that, and you're not gonna investigate. Not saying that you would automatically assume that your girl was cheating on you or some shit like that, right? Because like you know, hey, motherfuckers be weird these days. You know what I mean? Like people do some weird shit. But right off the bat, yo, if I'm seeing text messages like that coming into your phone, okay, one, yeah, we're gonna talk about it. Like, what the fuck is that? And you tell me that it's the first time he's just doing this out the blue, guess who we gonna talk to next? Buddy who was sending those text messages. Like, I don't understand why you would allow that to happen. Whether it was solicited from your girl or not, or whether, you know, Buddy is on his own type of timing or whatever, right? Like, there needed to be a little bit more investigation into that. So, incident number 1, bruh, that's kind of on you. You should have not accused your girl. Maybe you accuse her to start, but once she says, like, oh, he just did this shit out the blue, okay, fine. Now we need to talk to Buddy. And whether it be you talk to Buddy, whether it be you, her, talk to Buddy, whatever, right? But you need to follow up on that. That's because that's crazy. That's crazy that you would let that fly. But hey, maybe that's just me. Let's go ahead and get into incident number 2, I guess.
Fast forward to this last year. My daughter, wife, and I are at the gas station. I can tell my wife is kind of distant and detached from the interactions my daughter and I are having. I notice she's glued to her phone as well. The gas fill for our car is on the passenger side, and I have the rear passenger door open so I can tickle my daughter while I wait for the car to fill up. I'm really suspicious of what my wife is doing at this point, so I decide that I'm going to take a look over my wife's shoulder from the back seat as what she's so caught up in. Turns out she's actively / in the moment sexting some guy. Like words, description, acts that seem very much like they've been doing this a while. Texting, and looking back with 2020 hindsight, I'm fairly certain they had been fucking as well. Also, all the shit she was texting was super graphic shit, stuff that she has never used with me, either in dirty talk or when we got intimate. And I know this next admission is pathetic, and that it shouldn't matter more than anything else. But the fact that she wanted to share in these acts with this man instead of me really fucking hurt. Probably just my pride talking, but it is what it is. So, fast forward 10 minutes when we get home, and I have to suffer through smiling during dinner and the whole nighttime ritual of getting our daughter to bed so as not to cause a scene by blowing up at my wife for what I had seen her texting.
All
Honestly, that was probably a blessing because it allowed me to collect my thoughts before confronting her.
right.
I ended up telling my wife what I saw at the gas station, and right off the bat, she tries to play dumb. What are you talking about? Honey, you're making no sense. I told her to not play dumb with me, and I recited some of the text that I could remember back to her to prove that I saw what I saw. She then goes on to admit that it was a mistake, but that it was 100% nothing physical, and that she was really sorry. She admitted that the guy was a work colleague. Uh-oh. We talked a lot that night about why she felt needed to be doing that. A lot of it boiled down to her feeling depressed and lonely. We talked about strategies that we could invoke at home, things that we both could change to help mend the rift. I guess things felt kind of okay after that, but it felt like the damage to our trust was already done, and I don't think I've ever really recovered. Even that seemingly small moment of infidelity, assuming that was only text, was just a fucking hammer to my heart. Ever since that incident from last year, I've been waking up every day as a lesser version of my former self. My emotions and propensity to feel anything have been severely muted. Interacting with my daughter is about the only thing that gets me back close to a baseline of how I remember my former self. But beyond those precious moments, I'm just a walking, grayed out zombie that puts on a good face for pretty much everything from my day to day. Going to work, interacting with my wife, etc. Most recently,
All right, we're gonna pause it there. All right, we're gonna pause it there. First of all, that it was really hard not to let Buddy finish his entire like story because god damn, that was fucked up. I'm just saying, bro. Like, first of all, you know what? We're gonna backpedal before we go there. Go back to the first incident, right? The shit from in high school. That should have been red flag number one. That should have been the first thing that told you, hey, what the fuck is this? You know? And then you should have followed up on it. Okay? Fast forward to now this, dude, if she is and first let's go to this incident, right? Never mind that there's a third incident after this. This second incident should have been it. Because if your wife is willing to cheat on you, not only is she willing to cheat on you, but also while like your child is in the back seat, like you do realize like what level of disrespect and just fuck you have to reach for what should be your primary reason to not cheat on your wife or husband, which would be your children, right? Introducing that possibility of fucking up your marriage and splitting up their kids for that for to be fucking around. That's literally sitting right behind you, and Buddy is right there putting in gas, and you still have the audacity to be like, "Oh yeah, I'm gonna sex you some like dirty shit." Like that is crazy, man. That's crazy. Honestly, the red flag should have been in high school. This should have cemented it as no, we're done. We're done. Because not only is she hurting you and doing this to you after being together for so long, that should also have been a reason why she shouldn't have done that to you, by the way. But the fact that she still did that and had so many reminders actively present near her and she still went and did that, that's crazy. It's not like, oh, she went to the bars and got drunk and wasn't thinking and fucked up. Mind you, that is still not okay. But you know what I mean? Like out of sight, out of mind sometimes, and people forget. They fuck up. They make mistakes. All right, fine. Still wouldn't be something I would be okay with, just saying, but fine. That happens to some people, and some people are okay with moving past that. And that's totally up to you. If you want to accept that. But to have the reminders actively present with you and like say we like you're playing with the child, so you're actively showing that you're obviously a good dad, and she's still gonna do that. That's crazy. That's crazy. And honestly, just really unacceptable. But let's go get into why this guy gave her a third opportunity, I guess. Jeez.
Incident number 3. Now, fast forward to yesterday. My wife has been gone on a week-long work trip to the East Coast. We are West Coast. Actually, had zero suspicions or justifiable reasons to be worried for this trip, because things had been going pretty well between us. She hadn't really given off any indicators of suspicious behavior. But my first clue was that when she arrived at her destination, she couldn't get the Wi-Fi working for FaceTime, and this stayed true for the entirety of her trip. First of all, FaceTime works on cellular data just fine, which we have a ridiculous amount of. I explained that to her, without much of a response. Second, I know that if I were gone for a week from my family, it would be my biggest fucking priority to get FaceTime up and running so that I could see my family's face every time I called to visit, which would be every single night. Which brings me to the next point. She called us in the evening to say goodnight maybe 2 times out of the 7 days that she was gone. Based on previous trips she has, this was really strange. Normally she is like clockwork touching in with us to share her day and to hear from us about our day, and again, always on FaceTime. I asked her about that and she claimed that she was too tired in the evenings to get back to us. Also, in the past, if she was away from me/home, she would always text me goodnight and that she loved me, even if we had previously chatted moments earlier on FaceTime or via phone call. For this recent trip, she never texted me once. So, when she got back, my radar was on high alert. Now, I don't feel good about this next part, but she went to sleep that night. I checked her travel bag to see if my suspicions were correct. Sure enough, to my surprise, she keeps this little red book as a diary in her work bag. I open it up and there is a date marked 2nd of the 9th 15. Turns out she started writing a poem on that day about our daughter, who had just been born the previous fall. Okay, that's really sweet, I say to myself, and I start feeling bad about my snooping. Flip to the next page and there's a new entry. There's no date, but it's written sequentially right after a aforementioned poem, so I know that I describe here was an entry that came after our daughter being born. This non-dated entry starts off describing how much she longs for this specific person. Doesn't give his name. She goes on to talk about how she can't stop thinking about him. Every man she sees reminds her of him. She talks about how she never really intended for things to go very far, but that one night that started in the bar and ended up going upstairs just felt too right to not be something meaningful. She goes on to say that she doesn't feel bad about making that decision in regard of how it impacts her other life. She describes how she thinks maybe her other life was the mistake. This goes on for pages. The entry ends with her making peace with herself that he moved on from her, and it was time for her to forget about him. I'm assuming that her other life is our daughter and me. There was only one more entry after that previous one. I took pictures of it and have typed it out here in its entirety. It said, I'm laughing to myself because I haven't opened this book in over 2 years, and I'm here sitting in his bed, in his room, at his home, still feeling angst over so many of the same things. I go home after having a week with him and I'll be asking the same questions. Is he ever going to call again after? Was it so stupid to go on this trip? So funny how I thought we'd never speak again, and look where I am. We worked together, we talked almost every day, and he was there for me as a friend. Now here I am, and back with questions. Why was he so hot and cold those first couple of days and then just tapered off? Maybe he's doing that moral compass wrestling, and after I leave we'll never speak again. This trip was probably a bad idea, but we had a lot of fun. And he did say he's been looking forward to it. He missed me. He wanted this. I know that. I wish he would just tell me he wants me. Just me and always me. It's like we dance around things because he still wants us to have this thing happening despite the rest of my life, and I just don't want to talk about that. To the point that I'm lying, and I hate lying to him. But meanwhile, every tender moment I have with him is so precious, I can't believe it. I couldn't imagine we'd actually be snuggling on the couch. And there we were. Opie continues after that saying, I haven't slept since reading that last full entry. I haven't confronted her yet either. It's been almost 48 hours now without sleep, and I'm just an emotional wreck. I just don't know how to handle this situation. I guess I've gotten so good at wrestling this zombie mask ever since incident number 2 happened that I've been able to limp through the last couple of days. But it's getting really, really hard to be around her. I hopped online and read some guides on how to deal with infidelity, and most of the guides mentioned therapy. So I'm going to look into that tomorrow. Just filing for divorce isn't so simple. My wife has a serious seizure disorder that is uncontrolled. She can't tell when they're happening, so that puts herself and possibly others, small kids especially, our daughter to be exact, in danger.
It's not
I
your problem.
mention this as it pertains to custody. Imagine she's making dinner for her and my daughter one evening, and she has a seizure near the stovetop, and the house catches on fire. Well, the only adult in the house is lying on the floor unconscious. Or what if my daughter has a medical emergency, but then my wife has a seizure due to the stress of the situation? These are very real possibilities, and one that I fear could happen if she got custody in any way. Some of those examples aren't too far from other real life incidents we've had over the years due to her seizure disorder. She obviously can't drive. Would this factor into a custody dispute? I mean, our daughter is starting kindergarten in a month. How could my wife transport her? I don't know what I'm looking for with this whole rambling post. Maybe just assurance that her gaslighting isn't working, that what I've described isn't the workings of an overly paranoid mind. I feel like one minute I'm ready to file for divorce, and the next I want to try to salvage things for the sake of our daughter, and just to avoid the awful mess that will be made in all 3 of our lives if we end up separating. Here's some other logistical details that seem important for anyone who's managed to read this far. We own a house together, have a mortgage. I make about X amount per year. She makes around X per year. They were deleted, the amounts, I'm afraid. We have significant investments that we have joint control over that were given to us by her dad. They total somewhere in the range of deleted in stocks and bonds. I'm on wonderful terms with her parents and her family in general. I've always been that son-in-law that was there for everyone to lend help no matter how small or large. All of her immediate family is right here where we live. I have zero family support from my side where we live. My nearest friend is 1.5 hours away. Thanks for any help in advance. An edit says, I left work today in order to start lining things up. I have a lawyer lined up for this Friday. That's the whole earliest I could find in my area. It's just a consultation, so I'm not sure what to expect from that one meeting alone. Thanks everyone for all your pearls, especially your daggers. I definitely needed some other perspectives. I know it seems unbelievable that I could go on this long, but I've been seriously gaslit for years now, just conditioned to it. It's also a character flaw of mine to want to see the best in people. I'm just so fucking scared of the unexpected, goddammit. I just hope she admits to it. Is there any way she can twist this around on me? Like invasion of privacy? We are WA state, so I can't record me confronted her without her consent. And I think you can probably guess just from that editing.
All right, let's talk about it. Yeah, that's super fucked up. Super fucked up. I mean, like I understand where he's coming from, and I really do feel really bad for this guy because this is terrible. You know what I mean? Um, the joint finance stuff, that's one. The kid, that's two. You know, the fact that she's still doing this to you after being together for so many years, that's three. Like, yeah. When he read the piece about going to therapy for like dealing with infidelity, nah, bro. At that point, you need to go talk to a lawyer. You need to talk to a lawyer. You need to figure out some kind of system. Or even talk to his own family. You know what I mean? Like, okay, I know that it sucks to move your kids around. But the cool thing about kids is they make friends easily. So in this particular case, what I would have recommended to the guy do, hey, bro, go talk to a lawyer, figure out what your situation is, and figure out what all you actually have control over. Because at this point, the only thing that's working in your favor is that you know, and at that point, you can start putting your ducks in order and start building things together, right? So go talk to a lawyer, figure that piece out. From there, go talk to your family and see, like, hey, if I come back home, or like if we were to, whatever, maybe talk to your parents, figure it out. Figure it out. Talk to your family that can keep their mouth shut, that's not going to say shit to her, right? Go talk to them, see what your support system will look like on the way back. Then from there, yeah, you got to make your own decision, right? And ultimately, probably make the best decision for the child. Um, all that shit about her having seizures and stuff like that. Hey, man, at this point, and easier said than done, of course, because he was loyal. He was invested in the relationship. She wasn't, right? But at this point, that Caesar shit ain't got shit to do with you, bro. It really doesn't. It really doesn't. So toss that shit out of here. Bye. Um, but yeah, I mean, damn, I really feel for this guy. That's some hard shit. Some hard shit. I don't know, me and my lady, my wife, we've been together for about like 14, 15 years, something like that, right? It's been a while. It's been a while. And yeah, I'd be heartbroken. I'd be destroyed, by something like that. So I don't blame him for, talking about how like he's just a shell of himself. The only like, resemblance of his old self is when he's playing with his daughter and stuff like that. Like, hey, I get it, man. I'd be the same. I'd be on the same shit. I'm not hating on the dude at all. But um, again, let's not pretend like there weren't a lot of red flags. The shit in high school that was weird. The shit in the fucking car at the gas station, and the fact that she then lied to you. Like, I'm not saying maybe leave her over that. I mean, I would, right? But like, if you're gonna choose to stay with her at that point, oh, some shit needs to fucking change, right? Like, yeah, maybe you don't leave her, but it's not the same motion as it was before, you know? Maybe you do go to the therapy, maybe you guys do talk about it some, but something needs to change in that scenario. I think especially when you've been with people for an extended period of time, they especially like in his case, that's your wife, mother of your child, right? Like they know you very well. So she very well probably knew that he wasn't going to leave her. That's why she kept doing it. But shit, that's why she did it in the first place. Um, and it's super fucked up that people would take advantage of somebody that they claim to care about, or at least somebody that gave them a child like that. But let's not pretend that the world is so innocent and perfect that that shit doesn't happen. Man, this lighting is going crazy right now. Let's not pretend like that shit doesn't happen because it does, straight up. And you got to be prepared for that shit. It's great that you're being loyal, but not everybody's gonna be like that, and that doesn't mean you approach everything with like skeptic, with like a jaded heart or what have you, right? But it does mean that like you probably should have listened at the first two red flags, right? Damn, the situation is fucked. But yeah, I mean, yeah, that's our story for today. So, thanks guys for watching. Comment down below what would you do in this scenario? What would you do in this scenario? What would you tell your friend in this scenario? And you know what? Hey, if you can find any justification for the wife's behavior, go ahead and tell me why you think that would work out. I'm just kind of curious to see what people put out there. Um, yeah, but anyway, that is gonna go ahead and bring this video to a close. So thank you guys so much for watching. If you like this, we're gonna do more stories like this and some others here on this channel. So definitely feel free to give us a subscription if you want to check out that. If you did like this video, please give us a like because it does help out with the YouTube algorithm, as everybody already knows by now. But I'm gonna say it anyway. And yeah, with that, thanks guys. I'll see you guys in the next one. Later.